Hi everyone, it's Miss Terry and I'm here to talk about my September picks for students in grade 4. This first one I'm going to talk about today is called Best Nerds Forever by James Patterson and Chris Grabenstein. And this tells the story of Finn, who unfortunately when he was riding his bike home one day gets pushed over a cliff by somebody driving a black vehicle and he dies. And he tells you this right away. So he doesn't really want to go. He doesn't want to leave his friends and his family. Even though his cranky grandfather's spirit comes to try to take him on to the next level, he says, no, I need to stay and figure out what happened to me. And then he ends up meeting another spirit named Izzy. And the two of them try to figure out what exactly happened to them and who was driving that black car and why did Izzy mysteriously disappear. So if you like mysteries, you'll enjoy this. If you like friend stories, you'll enjoy this. And it also has a lot of action and adventure. So that's Best Nerds Forever. This next one is called The Magical Imperfect, and this is also about two friends. Here we have Eaton, and his mom is struggling. She has some mental issues, and she's just been admitted to a hospital to kind of help her deal with some of those problems that she's having. And he kind of shuts down, and he stops talking very, very rarely. Can you get a few words out of him? And so he starts spending some more time in the woods by his house, where he ends up meeting Malia, and she kind of has gotten a nickname at school as the creature. She has something called eczema that gives her kind of some splotchy skin, and she's been bullied horribly at school, so she decides that she's just going to homeschool. So she spends a lot of time in the forest as well. And this story takes place in 1989 when the Giants were trying to win the World Series, when a series of earthquakes are hitting the area where they live. So this is a story of the two of them trying to find friendship in a very difficult time, as well as surviving earthquakes. This is called The Magical Imperfect. Maya and the Robot is a story about a girl named Maya, and she's one of the few black girls in town. But she has her two best friends that she really gets along well, and the three of them are just this trio, so she feels pretty secure. Unfortunately, she's just found out that her two friends are in a different class than hers when they're starting 5th grade. And they're with the cool teacher, where she's with the strict Mrs. Rodriguez, who mispronounces her name on the first day of school, and she's kind of afraid to tell her that you're saying my name wrong. And then she's also in the class with the girl who bullies her the most, and she's pretty much feeling very lonely and isolated. And she ends up hanging out at a convenience store owned by Mr. Mack. And in a closet there, she finds this life-size robot named Ralph. And she decides she's going to use the notebooks of Mr. Mack's son, Christopher, to get Ralph up and running again. And things are going great until a disaster happens at the science fair. So that's Maya and the Robot. This next one is called Good Dog. If you like puppy stories, you definitely will enjoy this. And this is about Bo Davis, the dog on the cover, and he lives on a barnyard with his family and a host of fun barnyard animals. And this is a series that talks about his adventures on the farm. In this first book, Home is Where the Heart Is, he has lost his tag that identifies him as this family's pet, and he's devastated, and he is doing everything he can to try to find out what happened to it. So again, this is the first in the series. So if you like stories about dogs, you probably would enjoy this. This next one is actually based on a radio podcast. It's called The Alien Adventures of Finn Caspian, and this one is number 1. It's called The Fuzzy Apocalypse. And Finn and his friends are a group of Star Scouts. They're Explorer Troop 301, and they get to travel all around the galaxy, discovering new planets and meeting new types of creatures and life forms. And they end up on a planet where they meet an alien named Doug. And Doug has told them that there's this bunny that's trying to blow up his planet. Well, they meet this bunny, and the bunny tells a little bit of a different story and says that it's actually Doug who is causing problems. Well, it turns out Doug has a little bit of mind control powers, and he's trying to split up the troop so that he can get what he wants. So this is an exciting, action-packed space adventure about a bunny who may or may not be evil and an alien named Doug. This next one is called Escape from the Titanic, and this is about two kids, Sarah, who is a passenger on the ship going home to America, and Patrick, who is a bellboy for a wealthy family that is also on the ship. Well, we know exactly what happens to the Titanic. It hits an iceberg and they start to sink, and Sarah and Patrick, who are new friends from when they met on the ship, are trying to see if they can survive. So it's called Escape from the Titanic. I have two choose your own adventures. This one is called Game Day Football, and this one is called Game Day Basketball. And in each story, you read for a little bit and then you get to make a choice. And you actually get to make a choice right away when you start the stories. In the basketball one, you can choose to be a point guard, you can choose to be a forward, and you're trying to get over your team's superstitions that they're cursed and that they cannot win the big championship game. In the Game Day Football one, you can be a linebacker helping your high school team win all conference, or you can be on an NCAA team being a running back, or you can be the quarterback of your team helping them win the Super Bowl. And each one of these has a whole bunch of different choices and a whole bunch of different endings, so you can read them over and over again, making new choices along the way. This next one is a scary one. Getting close to October. This one is called Follow Me by K.R. Alexander. This is a little bit of a step up from Goosebumps, but if you like scary stories, you probably will enjoy this. And this is a story about a boy named Tamal, who's the new kid in town, and his parents have bought this house that everyone says is haunted and that he should stay away from it. And he keeps seeing this kind of creepy girl throughout the house, and his parents don't seem to ever catch her or see her. And he's worried that something far worse than what the rumors are about town have happened in his house, and he's trying to figure out what exactly the mystery is. So it's called Follow Me. You can see the teddy bear's got glowing dark eyes. And this last one in the fiction category, this one is called Cathedral Bones. This is for a little bit, this is a little bit of a harder read, so you want to be a good reader if you want to tackle this one. And this is the story about Simon. And Simon does have magic. He really wants to be an animus, and animus are able to create creatures both large and small with their magic. Well, he doesn't do so well in his testing, and he ends up kind of getting this low-level job. But a nearby town is being kind of terrorized by this monster, and Simon decides he's not going to listen to his superiors, and he's going to go try to save this town from the monsters so that he can kind of redeem himself and become a full-fledged animus. Well, it turns out the monster has a past of her own, and you can kind of see her right here. She's part girl, part squid, and part dragon, and she doesn't exactly remember what has happened to her or why she's in this town or why she's doing things that the people don't like. And Simon decides that he's going to help her rather than the town to try to figure out the mystery of what has happened to her. And maybe he's realizing that all of the things that he has been taught aren't necessarily the truth. So that one is called Cathedral of Bones. All right, so this next set is nonfiction. This first one is called So You Want to Be a Ninja. And this book is kind of tongue-in-cheek, kind of makes fun of a little bit, but at the same time, it's still giving you the history of what it means to be a ninja and what kind of skills and traits you might need to cultivate in order to become a ninja. So you can kind of see it's written in almost a graphic novel format. There's lots of great pictures and small asides. This part is really funny. It's called the Ninja Checklist. These are things that if you check all of these, you might actually be able to become a ninja. So step 1, I'm happy to work without fame or reward. I can withstand an enormous amount of pain. My parents were ninja. That might help if you wanted to really become a ninja. Number 4, I am a woman. So they do actually allow girls and women to become ninjas. Number 5, I look good in black. Number 6, I'm a convicted criminal. I did not know that many of the greatest ninjas throughout history were actually criminals. Number 7, I would love to live in the mountainous IGA province of Japan, which is where ninjas originated. So there's a whole bunch of fun information, and like I said, there's like ninja quizzes, and it talks a lot about their weapons and what kind of missions they went on. So if you're interested in the possibility of being a ninja, this would be a fun book to look at. This next one is called The Worry Less book, and this is a book that gives you tips and tricks to how to deal with your worries. There's a lot of things that are going on in the world right now that can be very stressful, and starting a new school year and all of those things can cause some anxiety. So this book will give you some different ideas on how you can work through some of your worries and your anxiety to be your most happy self. This next one is called The Ultimate At-Home Activity Guide. We are often stuck at home right now, so this has a lot of great ideas. It has things like silly races, different taste testing ideas that you could do at home, a lot of different things to do with bubble wrap. There's different games to play, and most of the activities are stuff that you already have at home. So if you're looking for some good boredom busters, this would be a good choice for you. This next one is actually a nonfiction graphic novel, so it's written in comics. And this one is about the wild Mustang. And one of the things that I learned that I didn't know was that there's actually well over 75,000 wild horses living in the United States of America. So, and it gives you ideas of, it tells you like where they are and where you might see them and how they came to be here. And it gives you a lot of really great information about the wild Mustang. So if you are a horse lover, you probably would really enjoy the history of the Mustang and how Mustangs are doing today. This next one, and kind of on the other side of horses, here we have Dragon World. And this looks at all of the different types of dragons throughout mythology and stories and through many different cultures. Chinese dragons, Japanese dragons, Egyptian dragons, and all the different myths and stories that have come throughout the world in regards to dragons. So if you really are in love with dragons, if you like that fantasy, then you probably would enjoy Dragon World. This next one is called Kids versus Plastic, and this talks about the problem of plastic garbage in our world and what kids are doing to try to prevent it. There's a very interesting story in here about a young teen, they call her the ultimate recycler, there she is right there, and she discovered in her beach area that there were thousands and thousands of golf balls all along the ocean floor, and she decided she wanted to do something about it. I had never heard about that. You know, you hear about the idea of straws in the ocean and plastic bottles in the ocean, but golf balls? And how can that be dangerous? So this book talks a little bit about that. You can kind of see on the end of her kayak, she's already collected over 50,000 golf balls from the floor of the ocean by her house. And then she ended up publishing a paper about it and why they're so dangerous for the ocean and its ecosystem. So that is just one of the many stories in the Kids versus Plastic story. This next one is called Sight. I love the bright, vibrant cover of this book, and this is all about our eyes and how they work. It talks a lot about why people need glasses, why they might not need glasses. It looks at optical illusions and how our eyes can be playing tricks on us and that we can't always believe everything that we see. So it's called Sight. This next one is also in the horror category. This one is called Popper the Poltergeist, and this story takes place in 1958, and the Herman family began to experience strange events at their home in Seaford, New York. And at first it was just, you know, relatively harmless things, like all of the caps would fly off the bottles in their house. But then more dangerous things started happening, like objects were being moved, bookshelves were being toppled over, and they believed that they had a poltergeist living in their house. So this is based on events that actually happened and what people saw, but it's up to you to decide whether there's some other explanation for what happened to them. And it also talks a little bit about other places that had similar experiences. And then the last nonfiction one I have is called The Everything Awesome About Sharks and Other Underwater Creatures. Again, written in a very graphic format, lots of pictures, lots of big blurbs. It goes through many different types of sharks and where they live and what they eat and how they behave. But then it also talks about other sea creatures that you might not have heard of. So if you love everything ocean, you probably would enjoy this. Okay. All right, so let's go into some of the graphic novels. This one is called I Survived, the Nazi Invasion of 1944. This is a new graphic novel version of the I Survived series, so maybe some of you have read some of those. Well, now you can read them in graphic novel format. And this is about Max and Zena, who are living in the Poland ghetto during World War II when after the Nazis had invaded their hometown. They are both Jewish, and they're trying basically to survive and to stay out of the Nazis' way when their dad is taken away. And the two realize that they need to escape. They can't stay here with the Germans, and they end up making their escape into the woods surrounding the ghetto, and there they are found by a resistant fighter who is determined to help them survive. This next one is called Dragon Racer, and this is about Vern, and he's a dragon racer, and he does mostly off-road racing, but he's determined to win an on-road race. And so he's been practicing, and some of the other racers are not very nice to him, and they kind of bully him a bit, but he's determined that he's going to win. And then once they're off the track, a girl becomes ill, and only somebody with great off-roading capabilities will be able to find the medicine to save her. So that's called Dragon Racer. There's also a new graphic novel series for the Magic Tree House. If there are any fans out there, this is the first, and I'm guessing it's going to be quite a long graphic novel series. This one is The Dinosaurs Before Dark, the very first one, and you can participate with Jack and Annie as they discover the tree house all over again. So that's the Magic Tree House. Another racing story. This one is called Glam Pre-Racers, and I saw a review of this that kind of said it is Mario Kart meets My Little Pony. So it's the story of a racer. Her name is she lives on Glitter Gear Island. She is a mermaid. Her name is Mio, and her monster truck Mudwick, and they are trying to win a race against a group of robots who are trying to cheat their way to the winner's circle. So that's Glam Pre-Racers. This next one is called Picasso, and this is about a girl named Jo, and she's kind of lonely, feeling like she could use some friends, when one day she's looking out the window and she sees Picasso, and he's got his little basket, and he's going shopping for his family. He's a very kind, sweet, smart dog, and she races out, and they become friends. Well, she ends up going near the schoolyard with Picasso, and everyone mistakes her for his owner, so she kind of decides to play along a little bit and says, oh yeah, this is my dog. But this lie quickly spirals out of control when the animal control people are looking for a dog that's off their leash, and now Picasso might be in trouble of getting caught. That's called Picasso. This next one is an action-packed. This is called Student Ambassador, the Missing Dragon, and it's about a boy named Joseph, and he's 8 years old, and he won a contest to go get a picture taken with the President of the United States. Well, he goes, and the President is so impressed with him, he asks him to go undercover to help this new little, he's kind of this new little dictator who's taken over for his father, who has fallen ill, and he's kind of started this international incident, and now Joseph and he are trying to fix what they have broken, and racing all over the place, trying to solve mysteries, break curses, and befriend a group of snow monkeys. So that's Student Ambassador, the Missing Dragon. This next one is about a group of friends called Blue, Berry, and Pancakes, and some of the intergalactic missions and action-packed adventures that they go on. This is definitely on the silly side. You can see they're about to wrestle with monsters. And then the last book I have today is called Kitty Quest, and this is about Wulfric and Perigold, 2 cats that are kind of down on their luck. So they decide they're going to become professional monster slayers, and they end up getting into a tussle with a large group of monsters without even realizing that there's somebody sinister behind the release of that monster, and they might have bitten off more that they can chew. So it's called Kitty Quest. Thanks for watching.